Russia fills its Red Square with troops, tanks and intercontinental missiles to mark Victory Day. Vladimir Putin defends his war in Ukraine, saying the danger is rising by the day.
And here in Odessa, southern Ukraine, Russia's war continues to have a devastating impact on the city's infrastructure.
Also in the program, desperately seeking support, we'll look ahead to the highly symbolic meeting between the French and German leaders to discuss energy and defense. Russia's been marking its World War II victory over Nazi Germany, a fight President Vladimir Putin has likened to Russia's so-called special operation in Ukraine. Speaking at a military parade in Moscow to celebrate the Red Army's campaign, Vladimir Putin said the troops were fighting for Russia's security. Well, earlier I spoke with our correspondent Galina Polanskaya about the growing significance in Russia of the parade. Galina, 8 years ago we saw Vladimir Putin use Victory Day to stake a claim in Crimea. He was expected to make similar comments about Ukraine, but he didn't. Tell us more about what he did have to say.
Hello, Tox. Well, actually, today Vladimir Putin explained the Russian people that his decision on Ukraine was inevitable. He said that, quote, Russia gave a preemptive rebuff to aggression. It was a forced, timely and only right decision. So those who were watching Vladimir Putin's speech, this parade, had to believe that Russia did not have any other choice. Vladimir Putin reminded that Russia asked the West for the security guarantees, but said that NATO countries did not want to hear about that. And actually, talks during the whole speech, Vladimir Putin was drawing parallels between what the Russian armed forces are doing right now in Ukraine and the Second World War, which is called the Great Patriotic War in Russia. He said, for example, quote, today you are defending what fathers, grandfathers fought for, and he addressed Russia's armed forces and the Donbass forces, saying that you are fighting for the motherland, for its future, so that no one forgets the lessons of the Second World War. He also stressed that those who fought in Ukraine were among the participants of this parade and promised help to those families whose members were killed in Ukraine.
Galina, we know Victory Day is a national holiday, of course, but just how important is it in ordinary people's lives? Because in recent years it seems to have an increasing military significance.
Exactly, Talks. This holiday is extremely important for, I will say, maybe most of the people in Russia, as all of them have someone, a member of the family or another like faraway relative or a friend who took part in the Second World War. So this is a history, a very, very tragic history for most of Russians, and in recent years they are used to this military showcase of Russia's might on this Victory Day. And let's say it's not shocking for most, as many remember how it was in the Soviet times, and what they are seeing right now is maybe a matter even of a pride in some cases. The question is really right now, Talks, is how many do realize that there is a totally different history which is being drawn by the state with the help of such important and very powerful tools as the state TV, which is broadcasting this parade across all the time zones in Russia. This is a question that nobody can really answer at this point.
While Russia held its annual victory parade in Moscow, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky opted to release a video. In it, he walks down a Kyiv street where in normal times a parade would be held. He said he has no doubt Ukraine will win its war with Russia.
Today we celebrate the day of victory over Nazism, and we will not give anyone a single piece of our history. We are proud of our ancestors, who, together with the other nations in the anti-Hitler coalition, defeated Nazism. And we will not allow anyone to annex this victory. We will not allow it to be appropriated.
By anyone he means Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin has tried to justify its invasion by blaming it on the West, telling Russians they're once again fighting Nazism.
The Nazis were expelled from Yalta, Simferopol, Kerch, and the entire Crimea. Mariupol was liberated from the Nazis. They expelled the Nazis from all over Ukraine. But the cities I named are especially inspiring for us today. They give us faith that we will drive the occupiers out of our land for sure.
Zelensky signs off saying happy victory over Nazism Day and glory to Ukraine.
Ukraine is calling for sustained financial support from its richest allies as Russia's war rages on. President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the G7 group on Sunday, alongside a surprise visitor, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
As long as the war continues, we need $5 to $7 billion a month in support. When the war is over, we'll have to rebuild everything destroyed by Russia from a sum exceeding $600 billion. This is a lot for our state. This is not possible for Ukraine, but this is possible for you.
Zelensky also backed a newly developed package of sanctions that would further tighten restrictions on Russian imports and exports, and criticised Hungary for looking to impede the economic punishment of Russia. Leaders from the Group of 7 developed democracies say the actions of President Vladimir Putin have brought shame on Russia. Casting a look back at World War II, they stressed in unity that Putin must not win. Pledging to phase out or ban the import of Russian oil, they also called for an end to Russia's blockade of Ukrainian food production and exports.
Well, we've just heard that call there from the Ukrainian president for more support from the G7 group of countries. Let's hear the thoughts now of Peter Dickinson. He's Ukraine editor at the Atlantic Council. Thanks again for taking time to speak to us here on the programme. Volodymyr Zelensky making clear he needs more financial support. Where's this money going to go?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Well, a lot of the money is needed simply to keep the Ukrainian economy afloat. The country's economy has been absolutely devastated by the last 10 weeks of warfare since the Russian invasion began in February. Many businesses, of course, have closed. And the country's exports, the country that has a heavily export-dependent economy, particularly in metals, commodities and agriculture, has been blockaded. The southern ports, primarily Odessa, which are the gateways of Ukraine for Ukrainian trade to the international markets, have been blockaded by the Russian Navy since February. So the country is essentially, in an economic sense, under siege. So Ukraine desperately needs funding in order to keep the country afloat and to keep basic services in place, to have payments for municipal workers, social payments for people, etc. Of course, then on top of that, you have the enormous rebuilding costs.
Kyiv says a move by authorities in Germany to prevent the Ukrainian flag being unfurled at a World War II memorial service to mark VE Day was a slap in the face for the Ukrainian people. Police in Berlin confiscated at least one large banner after officials in Germany said neither Russian nor Ukrainian flags were to be allowed to ensure commemorations remained peaceful. But Ukraine's foreign minister accused Berlin of making a mistake. He said it was deeply false to treat Ukrainian and Russian symbols equally. He added that taking a Ukrainian flag away from peaceful protesters was an attack on everyone defending Europe and Germany from Russian aggression. Earlier, there were rival demonstrations in the German city of Cologne in support of Russia or Ukraine. Around 1,000 people gathered to protest against arms deliveries to Kyiv, some showing solidarity with Russian President Vladimir Putin, others simply opposed to war or arms shipments to Ukraine. However, a pro-Ukraine demonstration attracted significantly more participants, although it fell short of the expected 10,000. Police were deployed to prevent clashes between the two groups. Relations between Germany and Kyiv have been strained by the war in Ukraine, with some in Kyiv arguing that Berlin has not done enough to support them.
If you want to know more about Russia's Victory Day and why it matters, then do check out this story on our website, euronews.com. Time for us to take a break right now on the programme. We'll be back in a few moments.